Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be reviewing the new 250 series Land Cruiser. Before we get into this video, I do want to mention a couple things. So first off, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then I will be going over the updates for the 2025 model year because there are some slight changes already with the new Land Cruiser. So with that being said, let's get into it. Powering the new Land Cruiser is a turbo 2.4 liter 4-cylinder paired to an 8-speed and a hybrid. It puts out 326 horsepower and then 465 pound-feet of torque. I've been able to average about 22 miles per gallon with city and highway driving combined. Before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the front end, the new Land Cruiser is a really cool boxy design. Love the little turn signal indicators there. Now, with the 25 model year, only the 1958 will have these circular headlights available. You can also get the Land Cruiser mid trim. That'll have the boxier lights. And then they're going to offer, if I remember right, the Heritage Blue without the two-tone roof, so you can get it just monotone if you want. But they're still going to have some two-tone options available. Anyways, you guys can see the fog lights there on the front end. And then we've got a bunch of skid plate protection underneath with this one. That'll still be an option on the Land Cruiser to add all the off-road accessories. Now our turn wheel setup is 265 by 70 by 18 in the front and over in the rear. You guys can see with the wheel design, I think it actually looks pretty sharp overall with the 18s. Now you can get all-terrain tires. That's actually an option in the 24 model year, but it also carry over into 25. So if you want to get factory all-terrain tires, you can do that. But some people have just been putting 17s and then bigger tires on this. Anyways, you can see with the big chunky fender flare design, you got the splash guards with this. Rock rail protection, again, that'll still be an option. Same thing with the roof rack as well. Optional equipment. But here is your side profile. Now this is pretty interesting, the little key glove that you can get with the new Toyotas, but we'll pop the hatch open. And it says Land Cruiser in the back of the key. This has the Toyota logo though, obviously. So here in the rear, they're going to add additional lighting for the 25 model year with the hatch here. It's not bright enough, so that'll be another little change. But everything else, space-wise and all of that, will still remain the same. You'll still have the giant battery pack here in the back that robs a bit of the space. It's not horrible, though. Then lowering that down, you guys can see fully power. And then you've got, of course, the Land Cruiser badge there and everything. This is actually, a lot of people have been asking about receiver hitch. This is a bezel that covers the receiver hitch, just a little plastic piece. And this is all plastic, by the way. It's one of the disappointing things with the new Land Cruiser. I'll be excited to see aftermarket options with bumpers. But yeah, really cool. Lighting's horrible, but really cool boxy design with the new Land Cruiser. And then popping inside, so this has the more loaded up interior. It's got really nice trim throughout. It's kind of like a Lexus interior. As you can see, you can still get cloth with the 1958 or Softex with the mid trim. You don't have to get this fancy leather if you don't want it, but legroom's good. Got a storage pocket. We've got our own climate zone in the rear. You can see the little USBs. And then this does come down, something to note, this does come down a bit for the sunroof. It's good headroom wise, but not as good as some other boxy vehicles. And then this leads us up front. Again, really nice trim. And this one actually has over 9,000 miles on it, and the trim's actually held up really well. You guys can see the memory seats and everything. And then blind spot arming with the mirrors. And then same with the seats. And if you're running, this is over 9,000 journalist miles, which is equivalent to like 30,000 plus miles in a normal car, because journalists just trash the cars. You can see the power adjustments. And then 1,100 pounds of payload. And then we also have trailer brake controls integrated from the factory. It's for the hatch, gas cap release. Steering wheel is power adjustable on this model. Now taking a look at the steering wheel, cool Toyota logo there in the center. You can see all the practical controls like adaptive cruise control, lane centering, volume, voice controls, all of that. And then you got traditional stocks in the back. Now this is the item that shows the most wear in this interior after just over 9,000 journalist miles. And I think it's just because car journalists tend to be middle-aged, overweight men that have very oily hands. Because every single car that I get that has mileage like this as a press car always just shows tons of wear here. But yeah, you can see that. It seems like it's not holding up as well as our 200 series steering wheel. But anyways, digital gauge cluster here in the center. It's a pretty cool setup overall, and you guys can see just under 22 miles per gallon for my average. So yeah, it's nice. And it also does show you stuff like the drive modes here in the center when you do change through the different modes. 360 camera system with this, and it's a really good system. I mean, it fills in underneath the vehicle just like a Land Rover, so I like it. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, it's quick to respond, it's easy to use. Overall, it does have physical volume control, but not a lot of other physical buttons with the screen. Lighting's going to be hard to see this, but we do have a heads-up display there as well. And then nice trim across the dash and down here with this little trim piece. I think that's pretty cool looking. Dual zone climate, heated and ventilated seats. That's for the camera, and then your wireless phone charging pad, which actually seems to work decently well. And then we've got a drive mode select here. We also have our multi-terrain select, crawl control as well. And you can see with the parking brake set up, got some cup holders. And then this is our drive line select. So this has the Torsen 4-wheel drive system. We also have a rear and a center locking differential, as well as a stabilizer bar disconnect. This will all still be available in the mid-trim, stabilizer bar disconnect and all. With the 1958, you don't get the stabilizer bar disconnect. Cool box, which actually came in handy this week while using it. And again, this trim seems to have held up really well so far. It looks nice. Camera rear view mirror with this loaded up one, and then we do have a sunroof as well. And now when it comes to pricing for the 2025 model year, it's $500 more expensive. So just go to the 24 configurator, add $500 to the total, and that's how much the 2025 is going to sticker for. Let's try this. 250 Land Cruiser. So I've been living with this for the week and super grateful that Toyota sent this out. I actually requested this as a press car just because I really wanted to be able to give you guys better impressions on this new platform, because this is going to be the same vehicle as the new 4Runner. I mean, not exactly the same. There are some key differences, but very similar vehicle. So after living with this for a week, I have come to some shocking conclusions that when I've told people that I know these conclusions, it's been, yeah, very interesting. So first conclusion, this is a superior vehicle to the Lexus GX 550. I had one of those for the week. Here's why this is superior. Better fuel economy. From the seat of your pants, this doesn't feel any slower. So you get better fuel economy and it doesn't feel any slower. There's less wind noise in this. I don't know how, I don't know why. This has the roof rack because it's got all the off-road stuff put on it, and it has less, like there's no wind noise for the roof rack. There's a little bit up here, but the Lexus GX, it was so loud, I was like, I couldn't own this car. And I have a friend that has a GX 550 Overtrail with the roof rack. He says it's unlivable. So it's weird because they're the same exact car, but somehow the Lexus just is worse. And then when it comes to driving dynamics, the Lexus does handle a little bit better, excuse me, a little bit better on road because of the KDSS. This is more than good enough. And then on top of that, all the features here are great. Like this, you know, refrigerator center console this has, camera rear view mirror. I mean, all that stuff is super helpful on a daily basis. So as a daily driver, this is one of the best SUV daily drivers of all time, which I didn't think I was going to come to that conclusion, but being able to get over 20 miles per gallon in something like this is just incredible. Now, there is a big downside. The fuel tank in this is itty bitty, and I think that's a huge oversight by Toyota. So on a full tank, you only have like 300-ish miles of range with this. You know, you'd think with over 20 miles per gallon, you'd have over 400 plus miles, but the tank is like 17 gallons. So that's a big oversight by Toyota, in my personal opinion. That is one big downside.
Sorry, the network is currently busy.
Anyways, aside from that, it is just a really well-built car. It just drives really well. And so now there's a big question. Who should buy the 250 series, right? Because this is objectively a, you know, less expensive, not as good driving car as the 200 series. I own a 200 series, and this is why I'm saying this. The interior in this feels cheaper. Everything just looks and feels cheaper in here. It doesn't drive as well. The 200 series is quieter. The engine's way smoother because you have that 5.7 V8 with an 8-speed. It's really hard to beat. This is good though. I mean, again, the acceleration on this is quite strong for what it is. I mean, here's full throttle. Not a rocket ship, but it gets up and moves. So I've come to the conclusion that the people that would like this the most are FJ Cruiser owners and 5th gen 4Runner owners. And here's kind of my thought process. The FJ is basically a 4Runner with boxy body style. this is basically a 4Runner with the new generation, the 6th gen 4Runner with a boxy style. So I could see someone that, you know, although the FJ is an amazing car, super reliable, they might be getting tired of having a car that has however many miles on it. So yeah, I could see some people with the FJs trading in for this. The other demographic that I could see trading in for this is the 5th gen 4Runner owners. Why would they do that? So some 5th gen 4Runner owners, because the 5th gen is, you know, still around, you can get a new one today. Some will keep it for longer because of the guaranteed reliability, but some people will get this because of the extra power and extra torque and better fuel economy. This is about the same size as a 4Runner. It's just as capable, if not more capable, off-road. Again, the Torsen four-wheel drive system on this means you have a better turning radius in four-wheel drive off-road. And then you also have that on-road as well, which is great for all 4 seasons. So I can see big benefits there. You know, just wanting a new car. And then again, the styling. I sat this next to a TRD Pro, and I thought they both look really good next to each other. They both have their upsides and their downsides, but I do think that this is objectively a slightly more handsome car. Especially, again, this next to a TRD Pro, this doesn't have any off-road tires. You put the TRD Pro wheels on this or other aftermarket wheels, and you put some all-terrain tires, you get rid of those little air dams up front, and it is a good looking car. So I could see some people making the switch from 5th gen 4Runner to this. Because again, there are some benefits. It's more comfortable. It's also way quieter. That's one thing. When I do that comparison, this is a much more insulated cabin, and it's got more features. You can't get cooled seats with a TRD Pro, for example. So, which, you know, some of you might not care about that. So overall, I have completely changed my mind on the new Land Cruiser. I think that it's a really good vehicle. I think that the best packaging with this is not this fully loaded one, but either a premium or a mid-trim base, because you get those in the mid to high 60s, and that's a really good car at that price point. So let me know what you guys think about the new Land Cruiser. But out of all of Toyota's new SUVs, I think this one's gonna be the best, and I do think it's gonna be better than the new 4Runner. And the reason being is the 4-wheel drive system. The interior on this feels way more premium, because again, I've reviewed a Tacoma TRD Pro, and I will say the suspension on that's really cool. Same thing with the Trail Hunter that'll also be in the 4Runner. The suspension with those two is really cool, but at the same time, the suspension in this is more than good enough, and I would rather have the 4-wheel drive system this has than the fancy Fox shocks or the Old Man Emu suspension. What I will say that I wish that they would offer on this Land Cruiser is just more aggressive bumpers front and rear. The plastic stuff is a little bit annoying. So hopefully that's comprehensive enough to help you guys out if you are thinking about buying one of these, or if you're debating between this and the 5th gen 4Runner, this and the 6th gen 4Runner, or any of the other cars, and the Lexus GX550. I think that there's a lot of, I've already seen it on forums, I think there's a lot of people that are going to trade in their GX550s for these Land Cruisers, because this just looks better. And again, I can't explain it other than the stuff that I mentioned with the noise and everything else. This is just a better car, which is good because it's more affordable.